Hey guys, today we're going to talk about personal safety. A lot of people ask me to make a video like this, I guess because I've talked about my dad being a police officer, and like here and there I've given some tips for safety of your home and stuff like that. So there's just so many things you can do for personal safety. I feel like this could be a really long video, but I'm just going to touch on a few things, and then if you guys have questions, I can always make another video, or if I think of stuff, but I'm just going to hit on all the stuff that comes to mind. I've taken a few notes, but really I'm just going to cover the kind of most important things that kind of come to mind, I guess. I don't know. We'll see where this takes us, but let's kind of start with your home. Let's talk about your home and how to deter thieves. When I moved out, my dad, everywhere I moved, when I moved into this house, he came and he checked everything, and like he would tell me a million things on how to be safe and keep myself safe. Just a concerned dad, and on top of that, a concerned dad that is a police officer. The first thing you can do, and I believe this is probably going to be like this in most states. I know for sure Texas, but I would imagine that most states all over do this. You can actually call your local police department and ask them to come and check your home. Now, I'm only speaking for Texas, but I cannot imagine that other states don't do this, if that makes sense. They will come check your home and the safety of it and give you tips and tell you where you can improve the safety of your home. And also in most states, if you have this done, you also can get a discount on your homeowner's insurance. You can also get a discount on your homeowner's insurance if you have an alarm usually as well. So that is what I would suggest. The very first thing, if you want to keep your home safe from thieves, I would call your local police department and see if they have a program where a police officer can come out and kind of point out the spots of your home that need improvement for safety. Something else you can do is you can also check. The most important thing you can check, everyone always gets worried about windows and thieves climbing in windows, but actually the most common way people break into your house is through a back door. They kick doors in. They rarely ever break a window and climb in. One, it's way too noisy. They run the risk of getting cut up or not being able to open the window. It's just not common on how they actually break in. The number one way is to kick a door in, and usually it's going to be your back door. So that being said, you need to open your door, look at the hinges, pull the nail out of the door hinge, and look at how big it is. When we bought our house, we did this, and they put these tiny, tiny little screws in. Those screws were holding up our whole door. Somebody could have kicked it open like that. So what we did was we bought really big, I believe they're 4-inch deck screws, and we put those in, and that's going to reinforce your door and make it harder to kick in. The harder you make your door to kick in or your house to be broken into, the more likely somebody that is trying to break into your home will just leave and give up and move on to somebody else's house that looks easier, if that makes sense, because they want to get in and they want to get out. So obviously another thing is an alarm. You can have an alarm. Now, to be honest, a lot of times, because alarms go off just for no reason or it's not anything serious, a lot of times, at least in Houston, it takes the police forever to get to your house, but at least it can alert you. I'm going to tell you guys my plan if this ever happens, and I'm not telling you guys to do this. I'm just telling you what I would do if somebody broke into my home and the police weren't here. Well, the very first thing is I do carry. In Texas, we have concealed carry. And that's just our law. I don't know what your opinions are on guns, but if I can, I will. My safety is important to me. If I was to have an alarm go off, because I know the response time of the police, if let's say I was at Target and Justin says the alarm's going off, and I come and there's a car parked in my driveway, there's obviously something shady going on, someone has kicked my door in, I'm not going to go in the house, obviously, because one, I don't want to have to shoot somebody unless I have to shoot somebody. I never want to get myself in the situation where I have to do that. So what I'm going to do is my plans are to cut the tires. Cut their tires so the vehicle can't go anywhere and they can't drive off with my shit. That is just my plan for if I ever come home and somebody is robbing my house, because if your tires are flat, you're not driving away with my crap, and your car will be here when the police gets here. So that's just my plan. I'm not suggesting it for everyone. Obviously, you'd have to be the kind of person that carries a knife with you. That's just kind of what I've always thought I would do. God forbid that happens. Let's talk about some other things that deter thieves. Alarms. Okay, even if you don't have an alarm, which we do, we have an alarm. We've got cameras, we've got like the whole 9 yards. Even if, say, you can't afford an alarm, just go online and like Google alarm signs for sale. Even just buying like a Brinks sign or even a fake alarm system company, that stops. Somebody still might break into your house, but if they go on a street with 10 houses and 8 of them have alarm signs, they're going to try to target the other 2 houses before yours because nobody wants to deal with the chance of getting caught. So if you cannot afford an alarm, I would suggest looking online at like where you can buy an alarm sign so it at least looks like you have an alarm. But I think an alarm is a really good investment, especially because ours hooks up to the fire, and if there's ever a fire or the smoke detector goes off, it calls the company and they call us. And I never I'm so scared of fires, and if anything ever happened and it was just smoke going off, I could rush home and at least get Amber and Ralph out. So I highly suggest alarm systems, but if it's not affordable, look into just buying a sign. Now, that being said, buy 2 signs because it's important that you put a sign in your backyard. I know that sounds crazy, but what did we talk about? People break in through your backyard, your back door. So again, put an alarm sign by that back door. We have one by our back door. So let's reinforce to these people, if you bust in here, sirens are going to go off. If you buy an alarm system or you have an alarm system, you need to request, if it's legal in your area, to get a bullhorn. And we have our bullhorn right near the wall of our attic on the outside. So because most of the time, if they put your alarm on, you really only hear it in the house really loud. But if you have a bullhorn from your alarm company, it's going to project that into the street and be extremely loud. And that's going to probably scare people away too. Because we have an alarm and we have the glass shattering and all that stuff, I do not currently have window locks, and there's these things you can get at the store like Lowe's or Home Depot, and you can go ask them. I've never had them, so I don't know much about them, but we are going to buy them. They kind of like slide in place and you lock them, so if somebody does break your window, they will be unable to lift the frame and they would have to climb through the broken glass. So that could be another deterrent. Another thing that is like the biggest thing for thieves is dogs. They do not like dogs. Dogs are loud. Dogs could attack them. They just don't like dogs. Most of the time, if somebody is breaking your house and they hear a dog bark, they'll move on and try to find someone's house where there's not a dog bark. Now, that being said, dogs are not for everyone, and if you're not going to take care of a dog, please don't get one. But what I am saying is, if you do have a dog, I would suggest not screaming at them for barking when somebody comes to the door or when they hear something. I let Amber and Ralph bark like that. And yeah, it annoys the hell out of our friends and family that come over and the dogs get excited and start getting barky. But you know what? I want to make sure that if somebody's going to bust in my house, that they can hear that I have 2 dogs in here that will rip your ass apart. That's about all I can really cover for the actual safety of your home. If you are home alone and you have an alarm system, please set your alarm. Home invasions are becoming more and more common these days, and that is really, really scary. But also you need to keep in mind that if you don't have your alarm set and you're home alone and somebody busts in and pulls a gun on you, there's nothing you can do. There's no way you can call for help. But if you are home alone and you do have an alarm system, most of them have panic codes that will silence the alarm if somebody has a gun to your head, and it will send an alert to the police that you're being held hostage. But most of all, I keep the alarm set when I am home, even if I am here. I keep it set all the time because if somebody busts in the house and I take the dogs and I run and hide upstairs, that alarm's going to go off and it's going to call my alarm company, and they're going to call Justin, and Justin is who works literally across the street from our neighborhood, is going to know that something is not right, because every time I leave the house, I tell him I'm leaving in case the alarm goes off. So if it goes off and he hasn't heard from me, then he's going to know that something's wrong and somebody probably broke in. So I just always suggest leaving your alarm on even if you're home, for your own safety. against home invasions and stuff like that. It'll at least alert somebody that something is not right. On the subject of being home alone, if somebody comes to your door, first off, if you don't have a peephole, you can go down to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a peephole and put it in. It is not hard to do. Get on YouTube and look up how to install a peephole. You need a peephole. Do not answer your door if you don't know the person. I just would not do it. I do not answer the door if I don't know the person that's there. I have a no soliciting sign. If somebody's trying to sell something, well, they can stand outside like an ass all day if they want to. But do not open the door unless you know somebody, especially if you have a bad feeling about it. If I absolutely have to open my door and I don't know the person, personally, as I have the door open, I have my gun behind the door holding it. That's just what I do. On the topic of gun safety, if you don't know how to use a gun, do not touch it. The number one thing that can happen to you if you don't know how to use that gun is it's going to get turned on you and used on you. Too many times I have heard even my neighbors say, the women, that they have a gun in the house, but they don't know how to use it. Their husband has it for safety, but they don't know how to use it. And I tell them, if you have never shot that gun, do not touch it. Because if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to handle it, and you have not had practice with that weapon, it can easily be taken from you and used on you. So if you have a gun in your home, you guys need to go to the gun range and learn how to use it and practice often. Because the more you practice with it, the more comfortable you get with it, and the more you know how to use your weapon, and the less likely you are to have it taken from you and turned on you. Even if you go and get your concealed handgun license, you need to use it more than just when you test it. Too many times I hear people say that they've got their handgun license and they carry it with them, but they never go to the range and practice using it. That scares the crap out of me. I cannot say enough, if you are going to own a weapon like a gun, you need to know what you're doing. You need to have practice and you need to be safe. So that's all we're going to talk about guns. Let's talk about personal safety if you do not have a gun. Some people just aren't comfortable with guns, and that's fine. And some people's beliefs about them are completely different, and that's fine. A lot of people want to choose to carry mace. I don't know. I've just heard so many stories from my dad about people that have sprayed themselves with mace during a robbery, or they carry the mace on their keychain and some of it gets out and it gets on their hand, then they rub their eye, then they're in the emergency room. Mace makes me personally nervous, but I haven't carried any since probably I was 15. It just makes me uncomfortable, but if you feel comfortable with it, more power to you. Before I was able to start carrying a weapon with me, concealed carrying, whenever I was in a parking lot by myself or somewhere where I felt uncomfortable or I felt nervous, you should always listen to your intuition. I would take my keys and take usually my car key, because it was the biggest and hardest key, and carry it in between my fingers as I walk through parking lots, because if somebody grabbed me, I turn around, yeah, a punch might stun them, but a key jabbing into them is going to hurt them a lot worse. Another thing is, there are so many self-defense classes out there, so many free ones. A lot of time police departments do. Take a self-defense class. If nothing else, it can teach you how to deal with an attack situation, especially if you don't conceal carry or anything like that. But also the key trick, that's a good thing to keep in mind. Another thing that my dad told me so much growing up, especially once I became a teenager and had a car and could leave the house, he said, do not look like a victim. I don't want this confused with like a rape scenario where, oh, she looked like she was asking for it. Absolutely not what I'm saying. That is completely different. That is totally never does a woman look like they're asking for it. That pisses me off. I just want to be clear, that's not what I'm talking about. Don't look like a victim, as in do not look scared. Don't walk through a parking lot in a shady area just looking like a scared little church mouse. This is when you guys need to put your resting bitch face on. Your I will fuck you up if you even breathe in my direction face. Like, honestly, just look like an uber bitch. Just total bitch face, guys, okay? Look like you will fuck somebody up, because shady people that might attack you are kind of going to look for that mousy, scared, could be a victim kind of person. My dad used to tell me like all the time when I go out, he'd be like, don't look like a victim. Just want to walk through a parking lot confident, looking like you will mess somebody's day up if they mess with you. That is so important. It's just little things like that that can lower your chances of being like an assault victim or hurt or injured or something like that. Another thing is, when you're walking through a parking lot, always keep your purse close to you. Don't let it dangle. Don't, you know, have it hanging out. If you were at the grocery store, I'm going to tell you guys a story. This is going to be a long video. One time I was at the grocery store. I must have been 22 years old. We had just gotten married, and I will never get this image out of my head because up until then, I never realized how easy it was for somebody to steal from somebody else. There was a lady pushing her cart, and I noticed in the store that there was a man kind of walking next to her, and I thought they were together or they were dating or something like that. Everywhere they were, he was kind of next to her in a way that looked like they might know each other. So as I'm getting stuff, he kept looking over in the cart, and I thought he was like checking for stuff or whatever. And then finally the moment came where she turned around, didn't even walk away from the cart. She turned around to get something from the shelf. He looked in, grabbed her wallet, and took off. I screamed. I was like, ma'am, your wallet, that guy took your wallet. The thing is, he didn't look like somebody that would steal. He was dressed nice. He just looked like a nice guy. He was dressed nice. So don't think you can trust somebody just because they're dressed nice or they seem really nice, because you can't. And I remember ever since then, I have been like, my dad always warned me, but I have been so paranoid about my purse in the grocery store. I always carry it with me unless Justin is with me and he's pushing the cart because his back hurts and he's right there in front of my purse. My purse will never, ever sit in there. There are so many cute bags now you can wear. They're like small backpacks or crossbodies that I would suggest doing that, because leaving it in your cart is so risky. Turning away from it is so risky. Too many times in parking lots as well, women will leave it there as they start putting groceries away. Somebody will drive by and take it. There are people driving by and pulling purses off of women's shoulders, and women are getting dragged. That is why I'm a big advocate now for, like, if you're out shopping by yourself, we all love our designer bags and our cute bags, but really, I would suggest if you're doing something like grocery shopping, that you invest in a nice crossbody bag. Those are very hard to take off somebody or steal from you and get into without you knowing. So that is just a big thing. I am so scared of some. Ever since that day, it has like haunted me after seeing that. Another big thing is too many people, especially at daycares. When I worked at daycares and when I worked at preschools and even regular schools, there were too many times that parents would run inside to get their kid and they would leave their laptop, they would leave their purse, because they're like, oh, I'm just popping in here. Thieves target schools, daycares, and preschools. They target those parking lots for parents like that are worried about getting the baby in the car seat. I don't want to take my purse. And they'll break in, run away. It happens in 2 seconds. Your stuff's gone. Never leave anything in your car that you wouldn't want stolen. My thing is, I never leave anything in my car. If you look at my car, it looks like a car at a car dealership. There is nothing in it but the shit that's attached to the car. So don't leave stuff in your car. When you go to gas stations, a big crime thing that happens all the time is people will pull up in cars next to you, get really low, open your passenger door, steal your purse, and drive off. You don't even know what's happened. If you're going to leave your purse in your car when you're gassing up, please be sure to, what I do if I like honestly do not want to stand there and pump with my purse, or I feel like it's a weird area I'm uncomfortable in, I will take my purse, I will put it under the driver's side area on the side of the car where I am, where somebody could not reach across and without me noticing. But I will also take my keys out and lock the car, so they can't get in the car anyway, but I also don't want my purse sitting out right there while I'm pumping. So if you're gonna leave your purse in there, take your keys out, lock your car. Do not leave it unlocked. Another thing you could look at and to see if it's illegal where you're at is stun guns. A lot of times, at least here in Texas, I believe it's legal because I see them all the time. Like little stun guns, if you're not comfortable enough with a gun, then maybe go buy a stun gun or a taser or whatever that if it somehow got turned on you wouldn't kill you. But I believe it's legal here. Just look into your laws in your local area and see if it's legal. That's another great thing you can carry instead of mace, because it's kind of hard to shoot yourself with a stun gun. It's a lot easier to spray yourself with mace. A big tip of mine is don't really trust people. I know that sounds horrible. I know that sounds jaded, but if you think about it, What serial killer wasn't considered attractive? If you look at serial killers, they're always kind of these attractive, oh, he seemed to have his life together, oh, he seemed to have a good job. I mean, like, look at American Psycho. So no matter how nice somebody looks, you still need to keep your guard up. And if you have a bad feeling, trust it. If you are walking through a parking lot and you feel extremely uncomfortable, there's probably a reason why. Your instinct is more powerful than you think. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out somehow, and I hope it's what you guys are looking for when you ask me for a personal safety video. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below, and I'll do my best to answer them. I'll see you later, guys. Bye.